Hello. Um, I want to talk about capitalism and the ugly side of capitalism because you do not have to be left wing, particularly, to see it. Um, and the thing that immediately comes to mind is the Black Friday sales. Now, this is a sort of phenomenon. I don't know how far back it goes, but it's become sort of represented by scenes of greed and stupidity and just growing people acting like idiots. For what? For an item that's been somewhat reduced. In London, in Detroit, in other parts of the world, there has been scenes where people have been seriously injured, where people have been arrested because they're clamoring in to get the sales. It's utterly pathetic. And we're not talking here about people who are extremely poor, who are kind of desperate, hungry, rural peasants in a developing country who really need this stuff. No, I'm not going to judge their exact background, but I don't think that is the issue. I think it's a sort of materialistic mindset taking over. Like, I have to have this. And if that person has it before me, I'm going to fight with them. It's, if you want to fight, become a martial artist. It's just pathetic. Um, One might say it's more women than men, but I suspect there's some men as well. I mean, grown women acting like, grabbing each other's hair and assaulting people for what? For something cheap? Get a grip. I mean, these people need to look at themselves in the mirror, and I personally think there should be stiff sentences because otherwise you're basically allowing a sort of anarchy. I think they should be made to look at footage of it and say, do you want your children to see this? Is this the behavior of a responsible parent, if they are indeed a parent? Um, because it's just pathetic. Now, the people I feel sorry for, because some people might think, oh, well, that's a victimless crime because they're all doing the same thing. Well, no, actually, because what about the long suffering staff members? I think there's a very strong case to be made that someone proposed recently, I don't know if it was a Labour MP or someone else, I can't recall, but someone proposed that Boxing Day, for those who don't know, that's the day after Christmas Day, should be staff should get a break. I would strongly go along with supporting that just for once. Just for once. Businesses need to be thinking about people first before profit. And being able to spend some time with your family at a season like Christmas is surely just a fundamental aspect of happiness. Now, okay, maybe some people don't want to. I think the choice should be there. If people want to work on those days, maybe they don't have much family to spend time with, that's fine. I think they should have the freedom to do that as well. But I don't think anyone should be forced to work on Boxing Day. I appreciate, like, maybe Christmas Eve, right? But Christmas Day and Boxing Day, surely we should have some sort of notion of there should be some limits on how much people work. I'm realistic. I know it's impossible to say, oh, no one should work on those 2 days because the country would, that's just not realistic. There are some people that have to work, emergency services and so on. And that's why they deserve all the more respect for doing so. That is necessary for obvious reasons. Um, but it's not unreasonable to say that there needs to be some time that people have to their own to themselves. But anyway, this gets to a wider issue about the ugly side of capitalism. Now, I'm not going to give a lengthy lecture here about the history of capitalism. There are plenty of examples, and make no mistake, I will not unsay a single thing I have said about the evils of communism, which I fully believe, or the evils of fascism, which I fully believe. Fascism and communism are the most blood-drenched ideologies in history, in my opinion. They're absolutely revolting and dishonest, particularly the latter. I say particularly the latter because fascism was relatively short-lived. Fascist states were relatively short-lived in comparison. You had examples in Latin America, of course, Nazi Germany being the most famous one, Italy, Spain. Um, but and one could argue there's a rise of far-right populism today. But communist states, de facto communist states, were responsible for tens of millions of deaths. Stalin's Russia, Mao's China, and so on. So I'm not making any equilibrium here, but there has been dark sides of capitalism as well, and we can't deny it. One of the most infamous examples is the Belgian Congo. I mean, Leopold II should go down as one of history's great tyrants. Millions of Congolese died. Millions were cruelly beaten, limbs amputated. This was savage. This was one of the most evil episodes in human history, and it shouldn't be overlooked. This was capitalism because it was about the rubber industry and getting profit for Belgian and European companies. So um, that's a fact. I mean, we can't overlook it. And I think Belgium should totally acknowledge the role Leopold II as King of the Belgians played in that. I refuse to believe that he knew nothing that was going on. Um, but there's other things today that aren't necessarily, I mean, within the Western context, aren't necessarily major acts of persecution, but they are things that aren't exactly something that's positive for society. For example, the materialism that we see. This notion that people are always having to buy the best of the best every time. I think smartphones is a good example of this. I mean, look at when a new Galaxy product comes out or a new Apple product. It's just clamor to get it. And it's if that's people's own money, that's their business. I'm not making some sort of far left statement here, but I don't like that people are judged by what they own, and that is totally a symbol of capitalism. People are that materialistic side. Recently, on the train to Shanghai on the metro, and there is actually a capitalist side in China as well. There's a very strange hybrid system here: ideological communism, materialistic capitalism. This China is actually a pretty materialistic country in many ways. I mean, there's a massive market here for iPhones, smartphones. I've had students say to me, "Teacher, why is your phone so small?" And I don't think they realise that it's a bit rude because it's just built in. It's a materialistic mindset. So a young guy on the Shanghai subway said to me, "I mean, this is a total stranger." He said, "Why is your phone small?" I think, "Who the hell are you?" And I kind of gave him a bit of a sharp rebuke. I was like, "Oh well, it's convenient this size," which is true. It fits into my pocket. But I think he kind of knew I was a little bit irritated by that because what the hell? A total stranger saying, "Why is your phone so small?" It's like mind your own business. Um, but it's just symbolic of this young guy was flashy, he was hip, he was, It's just, and you get that a lot in China, as you do in every country. Um, it's a side I really, really dislike, that sort of materialism. But don't get me wrong, I would. I'm not built out to be someone who would live in the wild. Like I made a video a while back of Chris McCandless. I could never have a life like that. I do like my creature comforts. I like to have warmth. I like to have entertainment. I like all those things. So that's why I could never outright denounce capitalism. Because if you do, then it's almost impossible to totally distance yourself from capitalism as much as you would like. Because if you really do, you would any sort of product you have could be called a capitalist product, even if it was basic. So I think it's impossible to totally distance yourself from capitalism. Another example is I mentioned Chris McCandless. There was a film starring Viggo Mortensen called Captain Fantastic about a father who kind of tried to get his children brought up in well, basically in the wild, in the frontier, away from the modern world, and it kind of backfired. Very interesting film if you get a chance to watch it. So I don't think you can escape capitalism, particularly if you live in capitalist open market countries. You can't escape it. But that doesn't mean you have to bend over to every sort of materialistic whim. Like you need the best of the best. I have a French friend, and she has her own beauty product company, small company, and I really respect what she's doing because she's looking at how you can use everyday sort of products as beauty items, and these look like nice stuff. It doesn't look like it's um, overly basic, or it looks like perfectly workable, very pleasant things. I like their page. I mean, I'm a man, I'm not into beauty products, but just to show her support. Um, and I think that, I mean, you get it particularly with smartphones. It's like, why do you need the very best model? Okay, it's going to have more features. I'm sure there's many attributes to having, let's say, £1,000 phone over a £50 phone that you found on eBay. In fact, mine was £19. I freely admit that, and it is pretty basic. And I do sometimes regret it. I think maybe I should have got a slightly higher model, but it does the basics. I can make phone calls, I can send text messages. When I get Wi-Fi, I can get access to certain websites. But it is basic, and I admit that sometimes I feel the pressure when all my friends have a smartphone, pretty much. I look around, all my Chinese friends have pretty flashy smartphones, and that's no criticism of them, but it's just the way the world is. And I sometimes think, I mean, for example, I cannot get WeChat, which is a popular social network here, without a better phone. That means I have to dish out lots of money on a better phone to use that. So, and I'm weighing up whether I should do it or not, because there's a massive difference between spending 190 RMB and over 1,000 RMB. So I hope if I do that, I will notice the big difference. I want to see the internet on that phone. I want it to be working, perfectly. Um, but there's other aspects of this. Mobile phone technology, materialism, I think takes us away from basic social etiquette. How many parties do you go to nowadays where everyone's looking at their phone? Go into any major city in the world, look around, particularly cities like London, Shanghai, New York City. Look around. The number of people that will be looking down on their phone, playing on their phone, have earphones in. I've almost bumped into several people who were so lost with their earphones they didn't know where they were going. I mean, this is what materialism does to the modern world. And I'm no Luddite. I'm not a hypocrite. I like technology as much as the next person. I think it could definitely have its uses. Um, Definitely, it can help in many ways. It can help you keep in touch with people. But there is a side to all of this that we need to just be a little bit wary of. I do think there's a risk that we rely too much on technology. And that does directly relate to capitalism because technology companies, brands, it's about trying to fish you into, oh, you have to get the latest product. I mean, you'll get the latest product, then 2 or 3 years later, it's obsolete because another one's come out. Then you'll have to get that. And you'll get it not because you really need it, but because you want to keep up with your friends. That's crazy to me. Um, I mean, I'm not suggesting people be like me. My phone probably isn't great. I probably do need a new one in all honesty. But I don't know. It's a side of this materialistic side of capitalism I really don't like. And I think people inadvertently look down on others. There's very few people who will openly say, "Oh, I look down on you." But there's little giveaway signs that that might be what they're thinking, and it's sad, really, because we're putting materialistic value over human beings, over individuality, over those things. So, final few words. In no way am I rejecting capitalism. I think that open market economies are superior to closed systems that lack transparency, and I don't think state socialism works. I am a big believer in the third way. I think a third way, which is not, Thatcher Reagan capitalism, but is also not exactly socialism, something akin to Bill Clinton and Tony Blair. I'm very interested in that as a concept. Now I know there's conspiracy theorists are into all the new world order and that sort of stuff, and they're bordering, in my opinion, on being anarchists, and that's a whole other thing. I don't believe in anarchy. Um, so that's it. I like material things as much as anyone else. I am probably materialistic in my own way. I do like, how can I put it? I mean, I like new DVDs. I like the look of them, right? That's why I don't download films. I just like the look of a DVD. So I suppose that's sort of materialistic. I like a nice shiny new CD. Uh, I like things, right? I could never live in the sort of lifestyle that Chris McCandless did because it's, yeah, I'd miss my creature comforts. I would. Um, but I just think we need to be wary of excessive materialism, whereby everything is about having the best, and then you start inadvertently judging others because they don't have the best. And because of social media, people are then pressured into it because they want to keep in touch with their friends. It's almost impossible today to keep in touch with people if you don't have a social media account of some sort. I think it's possible, but it's difficult. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.